I'm going to tell you a story that begins with a moment so unexpected, it froze an entire restaurant in silence. A woman sat across from a man she barely knew, trying her best to smile through her nerves. It was supposed to be a simple blind date, awkward, maybe promising, maybe disappointing. But no one in that room expected a tiny voice to walk in and whisper the words that changed everything. "Mommy said you're my real dad." The man's hand stopped mid-air, his fork clinking softly against the plate. The woman's eyes widened, her breath catching in her throat. In that instant, time didn't just slow down, it shattered into 1,000 stunned pieces. And inside that pause, a story of truth, forgiveness, and unexpected kindness began. Before we dive deeper, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment to support our channel, Kindness World. Your support helps us share more stories that inspire, heal, and bring people together. Now, let me take you back to how it all started. Jake wasn't the kind of guy who went on blind dates. He was a quiet, steady type, a mechanic who spent most days covered in engine grease, humming old songs while fixing people's cars. He wasn't chasing love. Honestly, he'd given up on it. After a messy breakup 7 years ago, he built walls around his heart high enough for no one to climb. But that morning, his best friend practically dragged him by the collar and said, "Dude, you need a life. One dinner. Don't mess this up." So there he sat, dressed a little nicer than usual, trying not to look uncomfortable. Across from him sat Emma, a school teacher with soft eyes and a tired smile, like someone caught between hope and fear. She stirred her drink nervously, her voice gentle but shaky, as though she carried a story she wasn't ready to share. The conversation was slow at first. Then surprisingly warm. Emma laughed at his terrible jokes. He admired the way she listened. Slowly, something began untying inside both of them, two people realizing they didn't need to pretend. But life has a way of dropping truth at the exact moment you think you're safe. Just as Jake was describing the time he accidentally set a car hood on fire, a small figure appeared beside their table, a little girl with curly brown hair, big honey-colored eyes, and a pink lunchbox with stickers all over it. She tugged Emma's sleeve and whispered, "Mommy. I told you I was scared. You said he's nice. You said he's my real dad." The restaurant went silent. Emma froze, color draining from her face. Jake felt his heart slam against his ribs. He didn't move, didn't blink. The girl looked up at him with a kind of trust that pierced straight through every layer he'd built over the years. Emma quickly stood and kneeled beside her daughter. "Sweetheart, this is not the time." But children have a way of saying the truth without fear, without calculation, without the walls adults build. Jake swallowed hard. "Emma, what is she talking about?" Emma closed her eyes. Tears welled up. And finally, she whispered the truth she'd been hiding for years. Her daughter, Lily, was his. 7 years ago, Emma and Jake had dated for a short time, something sweet and young and imperfect. But when Emma found out she was pregnant, Jake had already left town after their breakup. He never knew. She tried to reach him, but life swept them in different directions. She raised Lily alone. And recently, Lily began asking about her father. Emma wanted to find Jake first, talk to him privately, explain gently. But fate had its own timing. "I was going to tell you tonight," she said through tears. I didn't want to ruin your life." Jake's throat tightened. "Ruin my life," he whispered. "Emma, you gave me a daughter." Lily pressed her small hand on the table, watching him carefully. She wasn't afraid. Children are honest in their curiosity, and Jake felt something shift inside him, something deep and primal and overwhelming. He knelt beside her. "Hey," he said softly. "I'm Jake. And I guess I'm your dad." Lily smiled the kind of smile that melts every broken part inside a person. Mommy said you're kind, she whispered. Kind. Jake hadn't been called that in years. Maybe he'd forgotten. Maybe he'd been too busy protecting himself to remember. That night didn't end with yelling or accusations. It ended with honesty, messy, painful, beautiful honesty. Jake didn't storm out. He didn't blame Emma. Instead, he asked questions. Listened. Took responsibility for the years he missed, even though he hadn't known. Kindness isn't always soft. Sometimes it's choosing understanding over anger. Sometimes it's opening a door you were terrified to walk through. In the weeks that followed, Jake didn't try to be a perfect father, just a present one. He learned how Lily liked her sandwiches cut diagonally because triangles taste better. He picked her up from school, even if it meant leaving work early. He sat through her silly tea parties, pretending to sip invisible lemonade while she giggled. One evening, after Lily fell asleep on his chest, Emma sat beside him on the couch, her voice quiet. I was scared you'd hate me, she said. Jake shook his head. You did what you had to do. And you raised her well. She's amazing. Emma wiped a tear. She's amazing because she finally has both of us. Something warm settled between them, not romance, not yet, but a kindness that rebuilt everything broken. Months passed, and their little accidental family found its rhythm. Jake and Emma talked more. Laughed more. Lily's trust grew roots in both their hearts. And slowly, love, real, patient love, began weaving its way in, not rushed, not forced, but earned. One sunny afternoon, Lily held both their hands and said, "Can we be a family now?" Emma looked at Jake. Jake looked at Emma. And there, in that simple moment, they found their answer. Not because they had to. Because kindness made space for it. Because forgiveness opened the door. Because love, unexpected, unplanned, unstoppable, walked in wearing little pink sneakers and calling him Dad. Life isn't perfect. But it gives us moments, small, ordinary, earth-shaking moments, where kindness becomes the bridge to everything we thought we lost. And sometimes, kindness brings a family together. So let this story remind you, what you give to the world, your patience, your forgiveness, your gentleness, has the power to change lives in ways you may never expect. Keep choosing kindness. Keep opening your heart. Because you never know, the next moment could be the one that freezes time and transforms everything.